Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we have Brandon.
Hello.
We're talking about games and things.
Games and things.
It's on the agenda today. I don't know what Brandon's played.
Yeah. Sorry. That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Brandon will figure it out. That's there. I finished up Pikmin 4. I'm done with the
Nice.
Pikmin saga. It's
Nice.
all over. I started some other stuff. I'm only going to talk about one thing today. Which I talked about before, but I finally did more of it. And I don't know. I don't know if there's any more extra things, but we'll figure it out as we go. So,
Sounds good.
Yeah, ready to get into it?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I finished Pikmin 4.
And did you like it?
Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
So, I mean, I think I said it last week. Like, I already finished kind of like the main story. Like, I rolled credits and stuff. So this was just kind of a lot of like the
Clean up.
end game stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was good. Like, I actually thought that kind of like it culminated pretty well. There was kind of some nice extra. I know I talked about some of the after end game challenge stuff being pretty good. And the last kind of, I don't know, dungeon. I don't even know if that's the right word. Cave was pretty nice. I like cleared out the last area, and I'm like, I still have to find 48 things, and I'm like, I don't see anything on the map. That's weird. And then apparently there's just one cave with 48 things in it. So surprise. It was very like kind of like high difficulty, like 20 floor cave full of just
of course
all the crap you can throw at you. So it was good. It was kind of like, it was a nice kind of let's use your skills that you got at the end of this game. We're not going to make it. Wasn't the most challenging thing of the challenging things that I've played, but definitely ranks up there as a decent challenge, I would say. Because you can really just fuck yourself up if you're not paying attention. So that was nice. I liked how it ended overall. I thought it was just kind of, a good game. And like I said, a lot of, from, I think maybe a lot of what Nintendo's been doing on the Switch and, maybe just kind of more of what they think about the future of Pikmin. But this really was just like, hey, how can we make like the ultimate Pikmin game? And they're like, yeah, let's just do everything. And they did. They did everything. Everything's in there. And I feel like we've seen it a lot from some of their other stuff too, their first party things where, like Mario Odyssey has like, what, 1.5 billion, was it stars? I don't even remember in that game. Whatever. Yeah, like 1 million of half of those. Obviously we talked a lot about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
You have, kind of the evolution of like Kirby and Pokemon, and this definitely is like, Pikmin's like throw everything at the wall and just kind of make the best game that we can for the series. So it did really well. Sales-wise, it's already been kind of topping the charts of the places that have already done reporting. So that's
awesome.
really good. Yeah, so hopefully it ends up paying off for them. I mean, I think it's a fun series, and I think it'd be nice if more people were getting into it. I think we talked about it a little bit last week too, but I think it is kind of like, especially out of Nintendo games, a bit more of a difficult genre to kind of just like sneak yourself into. Like this isn't like, oh, let me just kind of, run left to right, or, just kind of, all of a sudden you got like, team management and, multitasking and all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
That you don't have to do in a lot of the other, Nintendo games. So, I don't know. Hopefully,
it's
it
kind
finds
of
an
like
audience.
the black sheep, where it's like we're going to do something totally different. We're going to be a game that's a lot like, what you would normally have on a PC game, but with a controller and on a Nintendo system. What are we thinking? Oh well, it worked anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And they do have like some of those kind of more non-traditional genre things. But I feel like this is just one that they've been trying to, push for the last couple of years and just not quite found the audience for it. So I think it's kind of either, sink or swim with this one. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, it was 10 years, I think, at least since Pikmin 3?
I think personally, right? You hear me out?
Yeah.
I think personally, if Nintendo ever does port games to PC, right? The first game they should port is Pikmin, because it would be the most PC game to port to PC.
Yeah, probably. It makes sense. I mean, it worked really well, probably with like mouse and keyboard.
It's like designed for it. That's the thing.
But I think that's also kind of why the motion controls work so well for it too, because they did find kind of, I think, a nice little middle ground for them, where you're not fully pointer and not fully control stick, and you just kind of do like a hybrid between the two, and it works really well if you play it that way. I mean, you can play it one way or the other depending on the game. Those all work fine too, but I honestly think that this kind of hybrid style that they kind of came up with actually works really well. I've been pretty happy with it. So, do I have anything else to say about Pikmin 4 that I haven't said the last week? I don't think so.
I don't
it's
think
really good.
I think you said a lot about Pikmin 4.
Yeah, no, I did, because I got through a lot of it last week. So this week was just kind of like the final bits of cleanup. And yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I definitely highly recommend it, especially if you played the series before. I think this is kind of the best one. If you haven't, definitely a nice place to step in. And it's got a demo where you can carry over your progress. So even less risk to kind of get started with. So
yeah, I'm probably going to try that demo very soon.
Should. It's free. Why not? What do you got to lose?
Time.
What is time? All right. What else do I got to talk about this week? Oh, I went back to Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Because when did it come out? February? I got it, and I'd sat on it I got most of the way through it again. I think there's 7 main worlds. And when I picked it up, I was just about to start World 5 and just never finished it. Here's my thing with this. With a lot of the maybe side-scrolling Kirby games, they're really slow. And I think that's kind of always been my issue with them. So I didn't feel that way with, what was the 3D one? Kirby and the Forgotten Worlds? Something?
What's the newest one? Is that the one we're talking about? The one that's on Switch?
Yeah, the one that we all like. I think it was Nick's
Forgotten Land.
Forgotten Lands, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, great game. And I mean, that Kirby game, I think out of a lot of the ones that I've played lately, not super boring. You know, a lot of action going on. There's a lot more to hold your attention, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot there for a Kirby game. There's a lot there.
But going back to this one, so Return to Dreamland Deluxe, if you remember from when we talked about it before, it's the Switch port of the Wii game, 2D side scroller. The problem with a lot of the 2D side scrollers is they're just very slow. Like Kirby moves at like a snail's pace.
Yep.
And
you gotta take it all in. He's a little puffball. Enjoy him being a little puffball.
He can suck it up and run. I'm sick of it. So, yeah. So I don't know. That was kind of my problem with it. Like I picked it up again afterwards, and I'm just like, I did like I think the first day I did 2 levels, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. I'm just exhausted from these 2 levels, and it's not because it's hard. It's not because they're frustrating. It's just very slow and tedious.
Yeah.
And I mean, the levels are fun. If you like the Kirby games, like they are fun. Like I don't necessarily hate playing them while I'm playing them. It takes me a bit to kind of like process them. Like it's just kind of there's a bit more of an investment there than I would like. And the levels are long too. I think that's the other part. Like it's not like the Mario levels where you can get through in like a minute. Like I feel like Kirby levels are like 10 minutes long. Like, are we at the end yet? Are we there yet? No.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think they are pretty long, pretty lengthy.
Yeah, I would say at least 5. Like I feel like there's a lot more.
Let's say it's like 8. There we go.
Yeah, split the difference.
Yeah, it's like
so, 8. Yeah, so it's just kind of like there's just a bit more of a commitment there. So anyways, I did that first day, and I was kind of like, well, I really just kind of want to be done with this. So I'm like, let's just kind of. I went back to it the next day, and I'm like, I'm just going to push through and finish it. So I finished the rest of the main game, and that was fun. Just finishing it. That was nice. But it really was like getting to me the thing that I really wanted to do, which was that like Magolor. What's his name? Magolor? I don't remember. Whatever the one guy's name is that you get like the epilogue quest in this game, and he loses all his powers, and you have to like kind of like collect him back, and get through this whole new quest afterwards. That was a lot of fun. That was different. It was not what I expected. It does not play like Kirby at all. It plays kind of more like, and I'm sure there's probably a better example that's 2D, and I can't think of it. But if I was going to describe it, it's kind of more almost like a maybe more like a simplistic kind of like like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry style, like combo, kind of like beat 'em up game.
Mm.
But it's 2D, and you're just going around. Basically, the way it works is you get kind of when you kill enemies, you get like currency to spend, and at the end of the stages, you can spend the currency on like upgrading abilities or getting new abilities, and they can do different things. And then you can keep enemies in combo, and the higher your combo is, the more you get paid out points wise, currency, and you can use that currency again to buy more things. It's a very simplistic system. It's not like that, but then at the end, you get rankings like silver, gold, platinum, whatever, for how you do in each stages. So, it's a lot of fun. I liked it. And as you progress through, you get kind of a lot of new abilities, and they can kind of change up things. Like when you start, you literally just suck. You're like you have like maybe like a magic ball you could shoot, and you have like a really weak jump, and that's like all you have. But by the end, you're
terrible?
Like, huh?
So that sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah, but then by the end, you got like you can like teleport around. You're like throwing spikes down. You got like black holes. You got like these super powerful beams that can do like fire. I don't know. You can like do like these kind of like super jump things. Well, there's just a lot more abilities that you have at your disposal than you did like when you started, and then you're kind of like super powerful. So I don't know. It was kind of nice. I think it was maybe 5 stages.
Okay.
Or not 5 stages, 5 worlds.
Oh, okay. That's a little better.
Yeah, it's
like
a lot
5
better.
stages. That's kind of garbage.
Yeah. No, 5 worlds, I believe, with like some boss stages and stuff in there, and then you have like some challenge stages in between, where it's like, hey, if you got this ability leveled up high enough, and you can do it. So it was fun. I would say, challenge-wise, it had some good challenge in certain spots. Some of like the challenge levels were not challenging, but I think that's just kind of more like how they built them, kind of thing.
Kind of a Kirby thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, like the final boss really kind of pissed me off. So, so it definitely hits like a nice challenge. So there's that, and then like I said, you do have like the upgradable abilities, and then once you get further, like it seems like there is no limit to like. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a limit to how high. I didn't cap out any of my abilities, so it seems like there's ability to go back through the levels and get more points if you needed to. So I guess if you're really struggling, you can kind of grind up some more currency and put that into your abilities and use it that way.
That's neat.
Yeah. So that was really good. I mean, I think overall, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe is pretty good.
Nice. I never actually played the original, so maybe that's when I'll play at some point. But it's really low on my list right now.
I mean, it's a Kirby game. You know what it is. Yeah, there's no surprises here. Like this is not Forgotten Lands. Like where it's like, oh my god, it's a Kirby game you've never experienced before, or even like kind of like my favorite Kirby games are always like the experimental ones, where it was like Canvas Curse and Mass Attack. Like those were like great Kirby games. I like those ones a lot. This is just kind of like your regular Kirby game, and it's fun. It's got the multiplayer stuff's kind of neat. It's enjoyable, but yeah, it is what it is. So nothing too surprising. But at this point, I consider this game finished. So my goal right now is just to clean up the rest of my like kind of major outstanding backlog items. So we'll see. I don't really have anything, at least in I think the next month, that I'm planning to buy. If I do, it's going to be like impulse or like sale or indie game. So like, there's no new things, I don't think, that are exciting until like September.
Oh, I disagree. I've got so many new things coming out this month. This is probably one of my biggest months, to be completely honest.
We talked about it, what was it, an episode or two ago? I already forgot. What's coming out this month?
So Bomb Rush Cyberfunk comes out in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. That's
the Jet Set Radio spiritual successor that has a lot of the people from the community and that worked on the original game working with it. So does Baldur's Gate 3. That comes out like in a few days. New Armored Core, which if you're done talking about your stuff, I could actually use that as a jumping off point.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I did not play Armored Core because I don't have time to, because there's 15 games I would have to play to catch up on. But I watched an hour and a half retrospective of every single Armored Core game in existence.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. I had no idea how crazy Armored Core was. It's so much fun now. I really want to play it all, but I'm really excited for Armored Core 6, which comes out this month. So that's another thing. I also did actually play some games. Would you like to hear about those?
Yeah.
Okay, so I played BattleBit Remastered again. I went and tried some of the smaller stages yet again, and leveled up all my stuff and started working on that and played and actually had like a lot of fun this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's really not much to it. It's just Battlefield, but better than the Battlefields we're currently getting. So there's that.
Okay.
But the other two games I want to talk about, as I've mentioned before, my air conditioning unit kind of broke and was not doing so hot. And I still am not doing so hot, at least in my computer room. So I had to play some games on console. So I resubscribed to Game Pass to play two of these games, at least, on top of other ones. But these two are the ones that really matter right now. So I played a game called Arcade Paradise, which I've mentioned before, but I've now played a lot more of this game. And it's very interesting. Essentially, what this game is you start out with a laundromat that has a few arcade cabinets in the back room of the laundromat that you also let your customers go and try out and play and this, that, and the other. But then you kind of realize, oh, this laundromat is not making as much money as those arcade cabinets are. And since the laundromat was passed down to you by your father, the purpose of this game is to convince your father, who is like a high-strung hard ass, that I should probably just turn this laundromat into an arcade because it would make way more money. And it's very interesting. You can like actually play every single one of the arcade cabinets. All the arcade cabinets are loosely based off of other arcade games, but they are all like completely built from the ground up for this game. They're not just ROMs slapped onto them or like, really bad fakes. They like really put a lot of thoughts into how they were going to make these arcade games, and they're built from the ground up for this game. And it's really interesting and very fun to play. Eventually, you get like a permit from the city to like knock out the wall and extend out your backroom arcade. And I know in the future, as I play more of this, I'm going to be able to extend the entire place into an arcade. But I don't know how to convince the dad that you're working under to do that right now. So I'm just currently working with the back room of the laundromat, and after like rezoning part of the building and like extending onto it, I've just made it into an arcade and added more cabinets that I bought offline, and it's a really neat little simulation game.
It sounds pretty cute.
It's very, very fun. It's on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, it's definitely worth a check. It's really cool because you're managing your time by washing people's clothes in the laundromat and this, that, and the other, and making sure everything's running smoothly, like the toilets and the machines are working and this, that, and the other, and cleaning up people's trash that they left behind and throwing it out. But you're also able to, in between then, like when one of the machines is like set for like 3 minutes, and then you have like 3 minutes of free time, you can just go back to the back where the other arcade cabinets are, and you can play along with the other people that are there in the laundromat with you, or eventually in the arcade with you. And it's a lot of fun, like trying to get up enough money in the amount of time you have each day, because you can only work a certain amount of time before you pass out or before you have to go home, essentially. And it's really fun trying to get up enough money to like buy add-ons, change the flooring, and buy more arcade cabinets, this, that, and the other, and find the next little piece of story that allows you to advance like your building and how everything works. And it's very relaxing and really chill, and I kind of play it to fall asleep at night, more or less, because it's like the perfect game to just be like propped up in bed playing on like your TV, like with the volume down or whatever. And it's good. It's really chill. And there's another game that's also like that, which I'm going to mention. I've mentioned this before, and I'm gonna mention again. Power Wash Sim is still one of the best simulator games I've ever played. It is so much fun. I started cleaning up a let's see, what was this? It was like a playground, like a kid's play area and everything. So I was playing
Okay.
that. I'm playing through the campaign right now. I played a lot of stages through my friend who's finished the game, and because if you play online, you can have up to 6 players playing, and anyone that's finished stages or bought DLC can then host the world, and everyone can play those stages, even if they haven't finished those stages themselves. Otherwise, you have to unlock them to play them like later on, that sort of thing, or buy the
Okay.
DLC, obviously, for the DLC stages. And yeah, again, this is also on Game Pass, and I was playing a lot of this as well because it's one of those games where you can just kind of get like lost while playing it. So like there's these certain floorings when in the playground one that I was playing. And with the playground one, there's like a yellow floor, a green floor, a blue floor, and a red floor. So my like initial thought was like I'll clean out the outside floors because as you're like cleaning them up and like power washing them and everything, there's like a little bar in the top left hand corner that tells you how much of that specific element that you're cleaning you have left. So you're able to see as you get closer and closer to actually having it entirely clean, and it does like a little like flash once it's done, and then you're like, okay, well I've got that finished, so I'll now move on to the next part. So I was able to go like blue floor to red floor to green floor to yellow floor and clean like all of that up, one after the other for like 2 or 3 hours before falling asleep as well. Because again, another really good game just to chill out and fall asleep with. And that's essentially what I had been doing when I was been playing these 2 simulator games. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about Power Wash Sim before. I don't know. Somewhere it just came up recently in something I was looking at. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I mean, it just kind of more anecdotal. Someone saying it was really good, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Yeah. And Arcade Paradise sounds really interesting. So, I was playing something on my Xbox this week, but I'm saving it for next week. A, so I can play more before we talk about it. But B, just so I know I have something to talk about next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So there's that. I don't know. What else do we talk about? News? Maybe?
Yeah, I don't actually know any news. If you know any, and point me in the direction and we can talk about it.
Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons is now available.
That's right. I did see that. Those are 2 of the better Zelda games, in my opinion, alongside Minish Cap, which I believe all 3 of them are made by Capcom. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes. And Minish Cap is already available on the if you have the expansion pass for Nintendo Switch Online. That is there. It's on the Game Boy Advance one. And these ones are just kind of like the regular, if you just have regular NSO in the Game Boy tab, you can play this. Those 2, Link's Awakening, are all available with Game Boy. So it was a pretty nice surprise. I don't think anyone kind of expected it. They're just kind of like, surprise, they're here. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of, it's not too bad. Nintendo keeps, doing that. There was a rumor not that long ago that Nintendo was remaking them. But I feel like this is a very hard deconfirmation of that. So, because I feel like they would not, if they had it anywhere near in the pipeline, I don't think they would just be like, hey, we're going to put this out there. Example, the Super Mario RPG. That was kind of my big kind of takeaway that something was working on that. Because I'm like, it's been years. I'm like, what are they waiting for to put this out? And it was a remake. So,
well, that's what they were waiting for.
Yeah. We got that. What is it? Rumor-wise, it's kind of, I guess, rumor/news. Switch 2, they're saying next year.
There's another bit of news. I forgot about this one.
Yeah.
So there was a Square Enix presentation. It was like either behind closed doors or like only Japanese. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was on the 28th, and they announced, hey, we're finally going to bring the Final Fantasy 14 MMO to Xbox. And then they also announced that they're looking to bring more games that are currently not on Xbox in the Final Fantasy family over as well. So several people are like, does that mean 16 and Final Fantasy 7 remake? And they're like, we'll have to see. We don't have any information on that right now, but we are looking to bring over more titles in the Final Fantasy series that are not currently on Xbox to Xbox. And those are the only two that are not currently on Xbox. So,
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, if you look at, even what Microsoft was talking about with like the Call of Duty and like the PlayStation deal, with that kind of whole announcement during like the trial, where they're like, we couldn't even like mention like these different things, on our social media channels, and just the way that these deals are written, blah blah blah. So it makes sense. I'm sure it's kind of the same thing. Like they probably Square, I'm sure, is working on it. It sounds like Final Fantasy 16 sold well. I feel
like
not as well as they want.
The whole thing that happened and all the eyes that were on different developers during the Sony, Microsoft, Activision trial thing. I feel like now more developers are being like, oh shit, okay, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, because like immediately after the trial, they're like, hey, Final Fantasy 14, yeah, it's going to be released on Xbox. Oh, and we're looking at bringing other games over to Xbox. Like immediately after the trial, that's what happened. So, it feels.
Maybe I don't think Square has like the same incentive though. Like they're not on trial. They're not worried about the mergers. I think it's going to be purely like a money thing.
Oh fuck, we're next. You know what I mean?
Well, anyone's going to buy it, it'd be Sony probably.
Sony just wasted all their money trying to block this last merger, and now they're like, oh fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it could just be too, like I said, I remember when Tomb Raider sold 3 million and that was a disappointment. Have they put out sales numbers for Final Fantasy 16 yet?
No, they haven't.
Because I can't imagine they were like, I mean, they're probably good for PlayStation 5, but I can't imagine they were like really good.
I can't imagine them being really good even, because like how many people have a PS5 right now? That's another thing. Like a lot of PS5 titles that are like mainline PS5 titles aren't even doing really good because people can't get a PS5. They're starting to be able to again now. Like people are actually being able to get a hold of one, but for the longest time that was not like a possibility. And you still can't walk into most stores and just buy one. So, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine them being that good because of the fact that, it's kind of hard to get the system just in general.
So Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million copies.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is indeed pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad. But, like I said, they look at Tomb Raider and 3 million was a disappointment and like a failure. Yeah. So this is Final Fantasy. But I'm sure they dumped a lot into it.
I think the other thing you also have to keep in mind is that's 3 million on a single console, whereas Tomb Raider was on 5?
Oh, but I mean, I think that just still kind of says for them to kind of open those doors bigger, to Xbox and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of more incentive for them to do so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, so that's it. What else did I say? Switch 2 rumored to be coming out next year. There's some new news that kind of came out on this. Who was it that kind of broke that thing? I just saw it. Where is it? I don't know, but they're saying might have LCD instead of OLED to keep costs down, which that's typical Nintendo. Wouldn't surprise me. Unknown details on backwards compatibility. Portable with physical cartridge slot. So let's see if there's anything else. But it just kind of goes hand in hand with what we keep hearing. Mm-hmm. That developers have it. They're looking to do it next year. Like, I think it was recently there was kind of that, what was it, the Chinese supplier that's like, yeah, one of our partners is expecting to launch a new console next year, and that's going to help with their sales. And the only one that they have partnered with that has a new console coming out is Nintendo. So, makes sense that's coming. I think we've all kind of seen that that's there. So, not too surprising. I mean, I would expect backwards compatibility to be crazy if they did not. But yeah, we got that coming out. It did remind me too, actually, another announcement that came out this week: the Nick All-Stars Battle, whatever.
Sequel. Yeah, I saw that.
That was surprising to me.
Yeah, because it didn't do very poorly.
So I think it came out with a lot of hype.
Yeah,
and I think initially it sold pretty well. And I think the fact that there's a sequel kind of points that initially it sold pretty well. But then I think it just kind of like tanked off the face of the earth.
Well, I think it was their own fault because they never updated it. They didn't update it for 6 months. If you don't update something, you're kind of asking for the worst. You know what I mean?
They waited too long, too late. What was it? They had the they didn't have voiceover, I think, initially, and then they patched in
I don't think they ever added voiceover, did they?
I think at the end. But it was like too little, too late. But they got that. But I think the thing that's odd with this, just kind of thinking about it, is that like they didn't just wait. I feel like it's too soon.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not crazy. They did put it in there.
Damn, they really did patch it in, huh?
Yeah, like they just way too slow on the uptake.
Yeah, nearly 2 years later. Cool. Great job, guys.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we really fucked this over. Well, no one's going to buy DLC now, so let's just make a new one.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing. I don't know. Will it work? I don't know. I think it's too soon for a sequel for a fighting game.
Yeah, the other thing that was weird that I saw?
Mm-hmm.
The Rayman DLC. You see that?
I didn't watch the trailer. I mean, we knew it was coming for a while.
For Rabbids?
Yeah. Because they announced it, I don't know, I feel like almost a year ago.
Mm.
And they're like, hey, guess who's coming in? Like the DLC for Mario Rabbids, Rayman. And I was like, oh, that's probably the least exciting person you could have told me.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and I guess too, and I didn't watch the trailer. I just kind of just read this anecdotally. But apparently, like, it's like the DK one, where it's just Rayman and the Rabbids, and not like with the Mario people.
Oh, wow. Okay. Weird.
Yeah, so it's like you don't even get kind of like that crossover thing. It's just Rayman is just like a second fiddle in his own universe.
All right.
But I don't know. I guess people were pretty hyped about like the setting and like the bosses and stuff that they did show off. So I mean, seems like that's good. But I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing.
Rabbid, Luigi, not Yoshi, Mario, and Rabbids. Yeah, this is weird. No Mario characters. What the fuck?
No Mario characters. Very odd. Yeah. I mean, at least, like, what was it? I think the other one had, like, Donkey Kong, but then it had, like, Cranky Rabbit and Rabbit Peach. And that was funny. But, this one, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Rayman on its own, it doesn't seem like a crossover anymore. It kind of kills. It's not Mario versus Rabbids, it's Rayman versus Rabbids. And that's, like, its own series. Rabbids are a spinoff of Rayman. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
So, I don't know. This game is like, it's it's talking about games that I'm like trying to clean off my backlog. This one is one that I'm kind of like earmarking as one I should clean off my backlog.
Yeah.
But it's like, even thinking about the games that I have like priority like spots for in my head, like this one's not even a priority spot. And it's really sad. Like I'm just kind of like, I'm like, oh, I probably should play this game again. But I have like no interest. Like none.
It's kind of just whatever. Just here and gone.
And it's not a bad game. It was enjoyable for what I played. I just don't like. I want to finish Fire Emblem Engage before.
Yikes!
Exactly.
Yikes.
Well, Engage, I'm like 3 chapters from the end, so it's just kind of more like I just want to finish what I've already started.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one, Rayman, I'm still at the beginning of. I didn't even finish the whole world. I don't think. So
I see.
Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah, I think that's all I got. How about you?
Yeah. Ready to wrap up?
Yep.
All right. Well then, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast stuff. We're also game-crunch.com. All our old episodes on there. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Hello.
Any final thoughts?
No, not really. I haven't got really much of anything right now.
All right. Well, that said, I'm Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin there, or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on. Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now too. Are my fans too much right now? Or are we okay?
I don't hear him.
All right, fantastic. Fantastic.
Fan-tastic.
Yep, I was not meaning to make that pun, but I have now, and I have to live with it.
Fan-tastic.
Fantastic. Yep. That is exactly right.